Why don't oysters share their pearls? No, it's because they're shellfish. What's going on YouTube? It's Tuesday, which means we have our weekly vendor refresh. Now, do you know this is going to be a good one because I actually saw some of the items leaked on Band and Facebook even before I got to the vendor, which means we're in for a real juicer magooser today with some of the items in store for us. We start with Filer Ul. If you've never been here before, we're inside the Infinite Archive, inside of Apocrypha. This is a free-to-play zone, has its own currency, and the first couple things that you can get are antiquity leads. The very first one is one that's probably not worth going and getting because it just normally drops from a world boss. That's the Spore Savant face marks. That is the actual item you're getting in totality here, and it's fine. If you've never had body markings, you can actually combine these with different skins to get different glows. But generally, face markings are not known for being super valuable to get, and this also has 6 other pieces that you need to get. But again, this one drops from a world boss in the Telvanni Peninsula. Easy peasy. Don't need to worry about getting that. And next up, we have the Heartlord Hide Singlet. Now, this item actually also comes from world bosses, but inside a High Isle. So now you just need to kill world bosses over in High Isle. It gives you the Fawn Lark's Cladding. It's one of the more unique mythics in the game. You run through people. They become charmed, removing their ability to attack or cast as they move towards you. Charging an enemy this way restores some stamina and magicka and heals you. So it's odd, but it is a mythic that does see a little bit of utilization, especially for PvP. Next up, we have our Juicer Magooser, the Baron Zadris Mask. This bad boy normally comes from the Cauldron as a style page drop during very specific times of year. Now, you can see the last time it was able to be farmed, because you saw a huge spike in everybody listing it, and you can see that here in its supply, and its demand is that it was actually worth a significant amount of money. This actually used to be, though, worth a lot more gold. This used to be in the hundreds of millions of gold. Now we're hovering around the 2.14 million gold. It is actually still pretty profitable on console. These were still selling for 1 to 2 million gold. Usually if something's only selling for 2.1 million gold on PC, it's probably closer to like 500K on console, but it is still definitely selling for higher. The reason is it's a dope looking mask. I myself will probably actually buy this one because I sold all the ones that I farmed just because at the time they were worth like 5 to 10 million. And even by the end, when everybody had farmed them, they were worth closer to like 1 to 3. Didn't want to turn that down. And so here, you can kind of get the, Mouth of Sauron or Sauron-esque vibes. That's why people love this bad boy. It's a great potential investment if you want to save yourself. But I will note that a lot of people are listing this right now for really a decently affordable rate. I don't know why people are listing them so low. I don't know who's taking the stock advice of sell low and buy high, but there are people that are doing that right now. This is a pretty affordable rate to get this one, especially this 1.8 million gold listing. Potentially is worth it versus actually spending your archival fortunes, but I don't know how long those listings are going to last because they're relatively new, and I don't know why people are selling them when you can buy it with archival fortunes. Probably should wait on that end, but potato, we move on. Next up, we have the Leyawiin Bookshelf. Now, this one's usually worth around 71,000 gold for the plan, so 2,000 archival fortunes is certainly a decent investment for that. The question is going to become, are you going to make these to sell them? Because it's going to cost you heartwood, zircon plating, which now granted is a lot better to make versus what it used to be. Ivory brigade class. It's definitely a little bit expensive if you wanted to make these. As a blueprint, though, you're getting about 35,000 gold per 1,000 archival fortune, which is a great return on investment. But again, you can't resell this plan, only the pre-made items. So I think it's a good one. I generally think that on console you need to have closer to like 100 to 200,000 of an average sale range for me to recommend buying it. But bookshelves are one of those items that everybody loves, everybody wants to put in their homes. So it is a pretty safe one if you wanted to try to buy this plan and then make a couple of them and sell them on the market. Next up, we have the Redguard Brazier Enchanted, only 56,000 gold. There are so many blue braziers these days that, even the rare ones like this bad boy don't have the value that they used to. If you wanted to buy this one, it's again going to cost you quite a few different things to make these: mundane runes, grain solvent. So probably not one that I would recommend. There's just too many blue flames in ESO. Like they need more pink or purple Or maybe, you know, they got a lot of red, maybe green flames. You know, we just need more flames, a different color variety here. Then we have this Elspar carpet blossoms on blue. Now, anytime you see this, you're like, Jake, 80,000 average. But yeah, there's a lot of range here that I would be like, a little cautious of this. So this is one that I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But it's, again, it's 2,000 archival fortunes. It's not going to, you know, eat up the bank. If you're looking at it, it's unknown to you. It has good value. 2,000 archival fortunes is not insulting of value. I just always caution people when you see such a wide range, because that means that you have some outliers on both ends. And generally for me, I want at least, again, 100 to 200,000 gold average before I buy anything from here on console. PC, these prices will be slightly different. It's up to you, depending on if you want to make that change. Next up, we have the Telvanni Peninsula, which, as we've talked about previously when this bad boy comes up, there's actually quite a good bit of value in Telvanni Peninsula treasure maps. Without going through a whole dedicated video in and of itself, there's just a lot of antiquity drops that come only from the treasure maps that have to be the treasure chests, nothing else. So you can see there's a decent chunk of thousands of gold here, although there's one that's only listed for 300. By the way, somebody please purchase that. That is an absolute steal. These are, again, PC prices. This is just the easiest one to PC price for these items here. So just keep that in mind as we look at these. And it brings up an interesting quandary. Should you buy these? Should you not? I think if you're interested in rare, especially furnishing drops, you can get quite a few from Telvanni treasure maps. I don't think that there's going to be that many that remain on the market. So it could be a good archival fortunes gamble for you if you're interested in that, because there's only, you know, less than 2 pages of treasure maps for the Telvanni Peninsula, and there's pages of antiquities that you can be gained from there. I'll put in the description of this video if you're interested in seeing all the items that drop from there. There's too many to cover in this video without making this video become too long, but just know cool furnishings, rare items, and etc. Next up is actually probably the best companion equipment that you can gamble on if you don't arguably already have rings and jewelry, because you're already guaranteed to get a piece that you need. So for example, let's say this was companion gear weapons. Well, I'm now rolling for a trait and I'm rolling for a weapon. So for example, let's say I want to build a tank, right? And I get a resto staff. A resto staff, that's not bad. And let's say it also increases my crit damage. It's like, well, this doesn't really jive together. So at least if you do this, you're getting a ring or a necklace. So let's say I get a ring. Okay, well, at least I've got a piece that I know my companion can use. You know, it's the same with like when you roll for heavy armor. You know, if I get heavy armor, but I get medium DPS type traits, you're like, well, not the worst thing in the world, but not necessarily what my companion needs. Versus if you roll for jewelry, you know your companion can use it because they all need rings and necklaces. And then if you build it a healer, a tank, a DPS, you're at least working in that direction. And you can, if you have multiple companions like I do, and you're like, all right, well, Isabel, you get this. Bastion, you get nothing because nobody likes you. You know, Azander, you get second picks behind Isabel, and then Sharps, there you go. And that's how we can build our companions out. Next up, we have some books. Now, even the books actually this week are kind of cooked, because I love it when the books are open. I feel like they look really nice aesthetically inside your house. So if you're interested, it's actually a pretty decent book to pick up. This is actually just a really good Infinite Archive beta, potentially the best Infinite Archive vendor we've ever had. Really, we just kind of sucked on Mythic leads, but I'm not complaining, because sometimes those ones can be really annoying. To go out farming 5,000 archival fortunes could be a bit of a tiff if you're low on them. Here, at least, it's more so like, if you want to get this, you can. We have Masters of the Tide, and then we have our scripts. Now, we have Protection, Disease Damage, Assassin's Misery. Thankfully, none of these are worth it. We're just going to skip through these because they're not worth the archival fortunes. Yes, Protection is good if you build it a certain way and you don't want to build it, you know, build it on your bar. You could give yourself minor protection. That's great. Disease Damage is nice to disease your enemies. Assassin's Misery is certainly a decent one too, but they're just not worth archival fortunes. Do your daily quests, and we'll talk about the second vendor here, which has these purchasable for gold. Potentially different ones, obviously, but still options. Then we have the Big Ear Ginger Kitten Sleeping Basket. This is literally only worth 5,000 gold. So we talked earlier about how some of those BPs were, you know, gaining like 35,000 to 500,000 gold in value per thousand archival fortune. Not getting that value here. So we could just skip on through these. Same with the unreliable archival map. These bad boys come in and out. They drop from the Infinite Archive. They're not worth it, in my opinion. And we're going to talk finally about the Fragment of the Black Maw. It does come from a pretty cool silver bolts. If you're like, oh, I want to turn my silver bolts into gold bolts, it's great, but it normally just comes from a delve. So, I mean, if you don't want to go farm a delve in the middle of Shadowfen, 1,000 archival fortunes. Not a good investment, but it is kind of funny that that's all that you're saving yourself. But it's cool skill style though. Might be worth going and doing the other pieces. And I turned on my lights behind me because I was not paying attention because we were in between our jobs here. So next up, we're inside of Ivea, which if you've never been here before, this is a new free-to-play area, which is over here. Scribing is now free for all, which means the second half of the items here, which are the scripts. This is all stuff that's static up here. And all of this stuff is rotational here. As we go through this, please hit the like and subscribe button because these are some juicer producers. We start with Brittle, which is fantastic. It's one of the more difficult debuffs to get in the game, so it's a fantastic to have. Behind that, we have Heroism, which is about 1.2 million gold if you weren't able to purchase it, or if you had to buy it in its tradable version, which granted, this is not its tradable version, but that's how valuable this one is because it's so popular. Heroism is absolutely fantastic. I can automatically tell you that these first two are incredible. Knockback is okay. I mean, being able to knock back your enemies does have utilization. It does see some play. I would still buy it for gold just because it's decent. Class Mastery, this one is static because it requires an achievement. And then Gladiator's Tenacity is also a really good script. I don't know which one of these I would focus on if I'm a new player. I would say probably Heroism because building your ultimate is definitely going to be just really good. And I generally recommend it for a ton of PvP builds. Hey, build your ultimate very quickly because then you can easily drop your Dawnbreakers of Justice. You could get things like your Battle Orcs proc. I mean, PvP is really not as complicated as people make it seem. Just run any sets that are in the S tier for PvP, drop a Dawnbreaker with Battle Orcs, and then just hit any other spammable buttons, and you probably have killed them. So that's what PvP is like in 2025. And the Heroism script makes that easy because anytime you're in combat, you're building up your ultimate to go again. And our final individual for this weekend is going to be inside the Imperial Ciy sewers. Inside the Imperial Ciy, I'd give you 5 guesses on where the Imperial Ciy sewers are. And if you need more help finding these places, check out in the description below, esohelper.com. We talk more about the locations of these vendors when they appear. It's Tuesday from 10 a.m. Eastern Standard to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you get a full week to find these bad man pajamas. And we start with the Forest Strider's Amulet. This one is a pretty unique item. These sets are only PvP dropped items, so generally their value is not as good, but it definitely does, you know, we like to sometimes just talk about these because it's fun to say, like, hey, is this a good set? Forest Strider's Amulet, I would argue, is actually a really good set in this meta because when you deal direct damage with a blink, charge, leap, teleport, or pull ability, you decrease the crit resistance of your enemy by 40% and increase your crit resistance by an equal amount for 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 7 seconds. In this meta where everybody is running monomyth and crit damage, being able to take people's crit resistance away is just very powerful because that just guarantees that they're going to lose a flat 40% of their crit resistance. And you're using things like blink, charge, leap, teleports, or pulls, which are just very popular anyway. So it's just free value. Now, the set itself is not very valuable because it drops pretty frequently. So if you're thinking to yourself, Jake, I would love to run Streak and do some sort of crazy crit build, this is a great meta to do so. Fun little set to do so with as well, if I do say so myself. It's not necessarily, again, one that you're going to purchase from this vendor because this is the golden version. You're buying it with Telvar, but it's a good set nonetheless. I give it a 9 out of 10 in this meta. Next up is the Fury set. Now, this one is also a really popular set. Warrior's Fury used to be the bee's knees because when you take damage, your weapon and spell damage is increased by 24 for 5 seconds, and that stacks up to 20 times. So you could be able to basically get, what I think it's 480-ish weapon and spell damage, get a pretty good uptime on it. The problem is in 2025, 480 weapon and spell damage is not what it used to be. 480 weapon and spell damage, you get that from sets, you could get that from so many other places, and it does require you to take damage, which is certainly not hard to do because in PvP, generally people are trying to kill you. It just happens, I know. And you're going to be taking damage from all sorts of goofy stuff on the ground. You're going to be taking damage from people who are shooting you, and it stacks very quickly. But I do think there's just better proc sets to get that much weapon and spell damage. And it's 2, 3, and 4 of health, stamina, weapon, and spell are certainly good. I think it's overall still a good or great set. I'll give it an 8.0. I think it's still slept on, but I don't think you're going to be running this as much as you think because the 9s and 10s of the worlds out there for PvP weapon and spell damage sets, we got stuff like Clever Alchemist, that's a craftable set. So why would you want to make your proc require you to take damage when you could just have your proc to drink a potion? That's the problem with a set like this. This is an older set. I think it kind of suffers because of that, but Still a good set nonetheless. I'd even put it in the great tier, 8 out of 10. Next up is the Elysian Sacramental Oils. Now, this bad boy is part of the Belzari band, and this one actually comes from the Minotaur boss that's inside the Gold Road. Now, this boss is actually really fun because if you do the daily quest and you kill him for the daily quest to kill world bosses, you have a good chance to get the Minotaur motive. Well, at least you have a somewhat decent chance to get the Minotaur motive. That used to be the premium gold farm for me back in the olden days. Probably not as good right now, but it just kind of reminds me of that time period because that's how I own this mythic. The Belzari band is certainly an interesting mythic. Is it good? Not really. Increase the damage of your light attacks by 900, and when you deal consecutive melee light attacks, you gain a stack of Beelzebar's temper for 10 seconds. At 5 stacks, you consume it, and after 1 second, you deal 1471 physical damage to enemies in a line and stun them for 3 seconds. You shoot out a Minotaur, basically. It's very cool looking. It just is not very good when it comes to combat. So if you like really cool looking mythics, I mean, it's like right up there. If you want practical mythics, it's not up there. Next up, we have the Dovra Sabaton's Guard, which for being a somewhat okay mythic has some of the most annoying leads in the game. For example, this one drops from the lair of Marsalok. Not a fun place to go, for being honest, but then you also have to go to places like Sunspire, Moongrave Fane. So this is definitely one that's not as fun to go farm, if we're being honest. So if you were interested in this one, potentially one that you purchase, basically when you sprint at enemies, you're scaling up armor, and what you're doing is you're running at them, and when you hit them, you deal physical damage equal to the amount, then you gain damage shield. So basically it's like if you made the Flash as a character in ESO and you sprinted at enemies, you deal some damage, and then after you sprinted and stopped sprinting at them, you gained a damage shield. So it and some armor. It's just weird. It's hard to describe without, seeing it in action, but it's like being the Flash. Imagine somebody ran at you, it hit you with that, hit you with a shock wave, and then they became a little bit stronger. That's the Dovra Sabatons. That's their MO right there. It's a fine mythic. People do love it. There are ways you can utilize it. It's just not one that I would utilize or recommend. But if you do want to use it and you have a build that uses it, I would buy this lead because this is a long dungeon to go out and do. Lair of Marsalok is not known for being fun and or quick. So it's definitely one to consider purchasing if you're interested. And it's PvP mythic. You probably had 25k Telvar sitting around. Next up, we have the Alakir Desert Treasure Maps. Alakir Desert Treasure Maps, not worth anything. Easy skip. We have the rings of what we talked about earlier. Easy skip. We have some scripts. These are with Telvar. Telvar is a premium currency similar to our Cobble Fortunes. I don't encourage you to buy Courage, Dispel, or Crusader's Defiance. Yes, these are decent. Being able to give yourself minor courage. I use this currently. There are obviously other ways that you can get minor courage, but to me, if you don't have, especially the Sigic Order, it's definitely a decent way to get ones like Courage, which is very popular in this meta, but it's not worth the Telvar. Do your daily quests and just farm out in the world, and you'll get these, especially once the Undaunted Celebration event starts. There'll be tons of people doing pledge dailies and all sorts of other daily quests that it's going to make this even easier for you to get. Update 47 also added new loot drops to the Solstice daily quests. So those are really profitable to do. Even the previous DLCs, Gold Roads, their daily quests are profitable to do. PvP dailies, obviously, if you're a PvP hooligan, do your dailies. And we finish off with the Fragment of Hircine. Now this one makes your roar green. So that's something. And if you wanted to get it, it's actually not too terrible. The hardest thing is going to be Moonhunter Keep, but this one, the actual fragment that we're talking about, just comes from a delve. So one that you can easily skip, obviously, in my opinion. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our quick 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment, comments below / be subscribed. We're putting in the timestamps now, all of the good Juicer Magooser items. That way you have timestamps. That way we can kind of skip the TLDR on these videos. If it's helpful, if you guys still like a TLDR, let me know. But for weeks like this, where there's just a lot of items, it's just easier just to put timestamps in there just as a reminder because there's so many good items. Second thing you need to do is just be subscribed. We're on the road to 34,000 subscribers, so please hit the subscribe button. And the third thing is look for hidden word to be flashed upon the screen. We hit it last time in a timestamp, so check out this month's hidden word. It'll be on a random video throughout the month. Keep an eye out for it. Comment it first, and you will win. Thank you guys one last time. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.